I talk about Bethesda games on this channel way more than I think I ever wanted to. Like, seriously, 6% of my content are videos where Bethesda games have a major role. But one Bethesda IP in particular that I've accidentally avoided has been the ever-popular Fallout. And honestly, it's because I haven't really played too much of it. I've beaten Fallout 4 once, and I quit New Vegas at the Battle of Hoover Dam. But through my limited experience with the Fallout franchise, one thing that I think these games get particularly right, and it's the only thing that Bethesda has going for them right now: atmosphere. Fallout is the crown jewel of atmosphere, making a world wrought with desolation feel like it's full of life. And today we're gonna break down exactly what makes Fallout's atmosphere so good. Welcome everybody to Tryon Maiden. My name is Tryon, and if you like what you see, you should like and subscribe. Atmosphere can be broken down into 3 separate sections, 3 things that contribute to a game's overall tone and feeling, and those are world design, visual design, and sound design. The world of a game is its most important aspect. It's a question of how you want your world to be presented. If it's presented poorly, you've succeeded in making something empty and boring. The game world of Fallout should be empty and boring. Hell, it's a nuclear wasteland, but so much of the games feel like they're teeming with life. From ramshackle shanty towns that resemble Hoovervilles from the 1930s to desolate wastelands constantly shrouded in an irradiated green glow, the world of Fallout is surprisingly diverse. Bethesda, and probably more importantly, Interplay, made a nuclear wasteland interesting to explore. Contrary to what most people would probably imagine a nuclear wasteland to be, Fallout's is actually chock full of people. Some who are normal, some who have gone feral, and some who are basically immortal at the cost of their skin. While death may be around the corner for anyone in this world, you're constantly reminded of the tenacity of humanity, something to fight for despite everything that you've lost. And to go along with this, certain parts of the wasteland are preserved, with vaults being the last bastion of a dying civilization, or baseball fields still getting renovated. While it reminds the player of what once was, it also adds a point of interest that breaks up the monotony of crumbling building here, abandoned factory here, cave there. Humanity, with what they've lost and how they've rebuilt, brings life back into the world. And so do the things that are less than human. Deathclaws, mole rats, rad roaches, ghouls, all of these creatures are unbelievably terrifying. And this is where my favorite part of Fallout's world comes in. They don't take themselves too seriously. They're goofy as hell, extravagant as all get out. It's a perfect balance between atmospheric settlements and empty open fields, and blimps filled with armored soldiers fighting giant green men. It adds a sense of joy to an otherwise depressing concept. And don't get me wrong, Fallout definitely handles the depressing aspects of a nuclear apocalypse. Dotting the landscape are the skeletons of people realizing that their lives are over, and buildings with terminals documenting its workers' final hours. Raider camps are filled with corpses, super mutant camps have literal bags of rotting meat hanging from chains. The wasteland is brutal and unforgiving, but not always. The world of Fallout is constantly teetering on the razor's edge. It covers the indomitable human spirit and an exaggerated look at American society, all while still delivering on its promise of depicting a horrifying post-apocalyptic scenario. The player is thrust into this deeply depressing world and finds joy within the chaos. And if you still think that Fallout is this serious franchise that covers dark, depressing material all the time, I have 2 words for you: Liberty Prime.
Death is a preferable alternative to communism.
But cool concepts and good world design on their own aren't enough without a cool visual aesthetic to back it up. However, I don't think that I'm the right person to talk about this. So I think that it's time that we enter the Garb Zone.
Hi, my name is Garblery, and I'm here to talk to you about visual aesthetic. If there's one thing that Bethesda does right, it's their world's aesthetic. Say what you want about the games, and I'll be the first to say they are not graphical marvels, but they are insane achievements in aesthetic environments, and I think that the Fallout games are their best example. There have been a couple other games that have tried out this like retro futuristic style, like BioShock and more recently Atomic Heart, but I think that Fallout is undeniably the cornerstone of it. I don't know about you guys, but there is something about the vibes of the Cold War era that is just so captivating. And the fact that in this universe it never ended, it cranks these vibes all the way up. Fallout takes that atomic age design aesthetic from the 50s and 60s and runs wild with it. Everything has been hyper stylized. The cars take that super aerodynamic look and just max it out. These things are so curvy. This one is just a friggin' ball. The buildings do the same with that spacey architectural style, which is actually called Googie, by the way. Just go to any Red Rocket or Super Duper Mart and it will be teeming with this style. The way they apply this style to the weapons still kind of bothers me because of how little they make sense, but I've learned to accept it. Because, yeah, they look goofy, but when compared to the rest of the world, it makes sense. Of course they're gonna be hyper stylized. Like, of course the assault rifle is gonna be water cooled, and the standard pistol is gonna be bigger than your head. And whoever took a Tommy gun and slapped a battery and a couple of wires on it and then went, yeah, it shoots lasers now, is a genius. Oh, and the power armor. This is just the cherry on top of it all. With the surge in technology and the rise in popularity of sci-fi and comic books in the 60s, everybody was dreaming about a mechanical suit of armor. And this is the perfect stylistic addition to this universe, along with everything else. The food items, the clothing, the furniture, hell, even the glue bottles are stylized.
Like a little rocket ship.
Not to mention all of the robots, which are just the epitome of that space-age sci-fi design. All this is coupled with that ever-present Red Scare. Every now and then you'll find a poster or some other remnant warning you about the threat of communist takeover, solidifying that Cold War feeling and acting as an eerie reminder of the world that came before. This aesthetic as a whole benefits all of the games, in my opinion, but each of them use it in a different way. Fallout 4 has it at the forefront, helping the world feel kind of new and immersing you in the shoes of your character who has never set foot in the wasteland before. New Vegas takes on a much more sinister tone, which makes sense given that most of the game's plotline focuses on corruption and human atrocities. Fallout 3 is just plain bleak and hopeless, and seeing as how it is probably the most destroyed Fallout map to date, it makes sense why the aesthetic isn't as prominent as in Fallout 4. It absolutely still is present, but it really just is buried under a bunch of rubble. All of this makes for what I believe to be one of the strongest and most effective aesthetics in gaming, which perfectly coats the already unique and interesting game world to make something worth exploring every inch of. It is part of what keeps me coming back to these games and is something that I personally have a hard time getting tired of. Alright, I think that's all that I wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah. One more thing.
Thanks, Garb. Appreciate you, homie. If you guys haven't already, check out Garblery's channel. It's legitimately fantastic. Huge shout out to him.
Is that Kurt Cobain? Oh, fuck.
Now, the last thing on our agenda is Fallout sound design. Looking at a world is one thing, but it's the sound that truly captures the feeling that any piece of media is going for. Wind rustling through the leafless trees and dry grass, faint noises of gunshots in the distance, the menacing guttural noises of a ghoul about to pounce as it stands across the room from you. All of these sounds are the bow that tie the atmosphere together. Fallout sound design is truly masterful. It's easily Bethesda's best work. Like, tell me that browsing through the Pip-Boy ain't one of the most satisfying sounds on the planet. Oh, yeah. But the most important thing about this universe's sound design is how grounded it feels. It's very easy to make something sound very alien and unreal, but Fallout, even with its incredibly fantastical elements, feels totally real. A grounded sonic landscape sucks the player in, reminding them that even though this seems so far away, something like Fallout could maybe possibly happen. And tying everything together is Fallout's incredible music. Looking at Fallout 4 specifically, Inon Zur did a fantastic job capturing the broken feel of the wasteland. From string parts that sound old and rusty to industrial percussion, from longing, heart-wrenching high piano parts to woodwinds that feel wild and untamed. It's a truly fantastic score, and I couldn't have asked for better music to wander the wastes to. Well, maybe except... Damn, I love Fallout's radio stations. It's such a creative way to tie into the Cold War aesthetic that Garblery was talking about. I mean, it makes you feel like you have spurs that jingle, jangle, and jingle. The Fallout radio stations are a perfect representation of everything that this franchise gets right. Even though you're in the worst of the worst, the armpit of the world, there's still this glimmer of hope, a reminder of what once was to keep you going no matter how deep in the blood of raiders you may be. Fallout's atmosphere is monumental. It's grounded and familiar while still feeling totally alien. It captures this retro aesthetic while feeling futuristic. It has the goofiest gun designs that I've ever seen. Like, what is this assault rifle, Todd? I'm not even into guns, and I know that they don't look like that. But in all seriousness, Fallout is a masterclass in world design, throwing everything in to completely immerse the player in its atmosphere. I mean, I guess the best way to describe it would be... it just works. I wanted to thank each and every one of you for watching, and a huge shout out to Garblery for helping me with this video. Again, check out his channel, it's linked in the description below. And hey, if you'd like to support the channel directly, $1 a month, I do extra videos, and this week's is actually my first experience with the very first Fallout game. So if you want to see that, consider becoming a member, as it helps out a ton. I wanted to shout out my big gamers Pine the Sheep, Jay Raymond, and the chess team. Thank you all so much, it really does mean the most, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace!